We got another huge color of the year by one of the biggest paint companies out there, Behr. Color of the year season is just the best because it's really interesting to see what other companies are thinking about design-wise moving forward. At the time of this upload, it's still basically halfway through 2023, so a little bit ahead of the curve, Behr, but I appreciate it because this is an exciting choice that I really want to get into. And I've already seen some comments below buzzing about the Behr color of the year, so let's just talk about it. But before we get into that, I want to quickly touch on today's sponsor, our Patreon page. So if you don't know what Patreon is, it's another place where you can get extra content from us. There are several levels or tiers that you can subscribe to, and the second tier gives you access to extra videos released every single Sunday. I like to call it Sunday Fun Day. But on top of that, by supporting us on Patreon, you get early access to YouTube videos that are ad-free. You can also dictate the kinds of videos that are released. You can pick a color quickie if you wanted to. Loads of extras. Click the link down below and check it out. It is by far the best way to support what we do on this channel and keep me doing this full time. All right, so Behr Paint, Home Depot's own. I've always appreciated Behr Paint. I've had a soft spot for them because a lot of painters that I know, they'll just ignore it and say, oh yeah, that's the paint for people that don't know any better. I've used it on my own projects. I actually painted my powder room with Behr Paint upstairs, maybe for an upcoming video, we'll see. But just like the other big players in the painting and decorating industry, they have a color of the year every single year. Last year was an underwhelming choice to some, but I appreciated it. Blank Canvas was their choice, and it's an off-white. The name is perfect because it essentially just tells us what it's being used for. It's a color that's just meant to sort of chill in the background, and then you can put whatever you want on top of it or surround it with nearly any other color on surrounding walls or surrounding rooms. I like the fact that they told us to lean into neutrals, but still explore with other colors surrounding it. So really, we became the creative ones and we can kind of do whatever we want. So what did they pick this year? Well, to put it plainly, they went in the complete opposite direction. No, they didn't pick a super vibrant coral or a neon green or a spaghetti yellow. They ended up going from off-white to off-black. The color of the year for 2024 by Behr Paint is called Cracked Pepper. It is a lovely, simplistic, soft black. And if you don't know what that means, essentially it is a lighter version of black. Maybe black that has some gray to soften it altogether, making it a little bit less contrasty and dynamic, which I think is great and really suits the contemporary aesthetic wonderfully. Also, if you don't really use Behr Paint all that often, I'll give you some approximate color matches and some of the other main paint companies at the end of the video. But what I wanted to go through was the Behr website right now because they have this beautiful presentation for this color. So I'll pop it up on the screen for you. Really what we immediately see is the continuation of warm neutrals in the form of creams and grays and natural woods. You also see some metallics, some warmer metallics, specifically gold as a matter of fact. And even if you scroll down, just to skip ahead a bit, Behr's advertising this metallic gold spray, which I have not used, but essentially it's marketed as being a metallic spray that adheres to almost anything. So for my DIY people watching that really love to get a bit crafty and maybe a bit glam, you can use this paint on a lot of different things. I'm a fan of spray paints. I ended up using a Rust-Oleum like matte black spray paint on one of my bathroom fixtures that was constantly getting soaked with water. It ended up being perfect and really got me out of a jam when I couldn't find a specific piece that was matte black. I just went with chrome and then painted it, and it lasted for a long time. So I guess this is a similar idea. If you want to spice up your black paint or black rooms, you can have these little pops of gold here and there. But going back to this paint color, what I find interesting about this is the fact that they're sort of doing the same thing in a very different way, where you don't have a strong color being presented. Black is devoid of color. There really is no hue happening here. Yes, there might be some very subtle undertones, some color shift depending on your interior space, but really this is another neutral just on the opposite end of the spectrum. Really dark, and therefore will be much more dramatic. And I want to bring your attention to this beautiful presentation where they have this slider that shows you what the room looks like with an accent wall using the black paint, or you can envelop the entire space and even paint the ceiling with it. So there's a lot you can do. There's different levels of involvement when using a color like cracked pepper. And I think the messaging here is embrace darker colors. Don't be afraid to go dark, even if you're completely covering a space. And I've always been a fan of a little bit of drama with my color choices. Now, Behr Paint also released a color trends palette for 2024 that has quite a bit of variety. In fact, you help me decide. Should I go through the color trends palette, or should I do a color quickie on cracked pepper and give you my own personal choices? Let me know in the comment section below. But before we go, I'm going to give you a couple of similar colors in different paint companies, just in case you don't really want to go with Behr. Maybe you're a Sherwin-Williams fan, or you want to try Farrow and Ball. Well, I would probably recommend Peppercorn for the Sherwin-Williams choice, mainly because it has a very similar theme to it. It's peppercorn, black pepper type of feel. If anything, I feel like the Behr Paint alternative is a touch darker and maybe ever so slightly cooler, a little more blue leaning, but very, very slightly. And then you have Cheating Heart by Benjamin Moore, which is another good choice. Same sort of thing, you know, a charcoal black, off black color, a little bit of coolness to it. And then the Farrow and Ball close color is actually very close, I think. It's called Tar from their California collection that I really, really love. In fact, we talked about it in this video right over here if you want to do a deeper dive on it.